Welcome back. I'm your host, David Norris, and we are in the final episode of How to Negotiate as a Physician and Win. In this episode, we're just going to wrap everything up. We're going to kind of put everything together. So let's get started. The first thing that we need to know is we've got to know ourselves when we negotiate. We got to understand what our fuels are, what drives us. We need to understand how we are making decisions. We need to know what our sources of fear are. And if we don't know that, we're not going to be able to stop the neediness at the negotiating table, and we'll weaken our position. So we really need to sit down and understand who we are and why we're doing what we're doing, what drives us, what fuels us, and what makes us fearful. And then we need to begin with the proper mindset. Remember, we need to have a growth mindset, and we need to really make certain we understand how we're thinking, because the way we think will dictate how we behave. So we need to work on controlling our thoughts. We need to be aware of the emotions we're feeling. It's okay to have emotions and be aware of them, but we just don't want to display those emotions that will harm us at the negotiation. And once we understand how we're thinking and how we're feeling, we're going to be far more better able to control how we behave at the negotiating table. Remember, the proper mindset, having that growth mindset, is going to help you avoid making assumptions and having expectations. Because when we do that, as we saw earlier, we can leave money on the table and make bad deals. So we want to walk in with that growth mindset, that proper mindset. Now, before we start any negotiation, well, we need to know why we're choosing to enter this negotiation. I mean, we have to understand what our mission and purpose is and why we're even bothering. And we need to know what it is we do and why we do it. This is our mission and purpose. And then we need to know what we're going to deliver to the opponent and how are we going to deliver that. Well, that's the mission and purpose of the negotiation. Because remember, success is achieving both your mission and purpose and the adversary's mission and purpose. Once we mesh those up and we're able to really identify how those can come together, that's how we get true success. So we need to commit to ourselves that if the negotiation is going down a path that's not aligned to what we want, that does not support values, that does not meet our mission and purpose, we are going to exercise our right to veto and step away politely. Okay, that's got to be clear in your mind's eye before you start any negotiation. But you have to. It's good to review that. Like, what is it that I want? And if we start going down a path that doesn't help, won't move me closer to my mission and purpose, or will not help me really solve their problems, I'm just going to politely step away and exercise my right to veto. Because remember, you want the deal, you don't need the deal. No deal better than a bad deal. Okay. So we need to really spend time focusing on our mission and purpose, because this is going to help guide us, what it is we do and why we do it for the benefit of the other. And remember, everybody on the team needs to understand the mission and purpose. And as soon as you do that and everybody's on the same page, you're going to act as a more cohesive unit and make better and more effective decisions in your negotiation. So know what it is you do and why you do it for the benefit of the other side. And then invite no. Start with no, and always begin every negotiation with, you have the right to say no. It's not going to hurt our feelings. You can reject something if you want. It's okay. Because remember, by inviting no, we give them the right to veto, and that's where negotiations start. A negotiation starts at no. And always remember, you too have the right to veto, and always keep that in mind, that if it's not going the way you want, politely exit and exercise your right to veto. And remember, review those good behaviors that we talked about earlier, right? No talking. Never answer the unasked question, okay? Reveal as little information as possible, yet while answering the question, be careful of how you say and what you say so as not to damage your position. 3+. When we hear yeses, we want to get a 3+ or confirm that yes, because we want to identify what kind of yes that is. Is it a confirmation yes, a commitment yes, or a counterfeit yes? We want to make certain we understand what we're dealing with. Work on your strip lines, positive and negative strip lines. We want to kind of keep them in a more objective, less emotional state of mind. And sometimes we'll see that pendulum swing way negative or way positive. And we'll use strip lines as a way to help refocus them and recenter their emotions. Walk in with that negotiation blank slate, with a blank slate. Don't walk in with assumptions or expectations. No, you have data. You're going to ask questions that'll confirm whether your data is right, but we don't walk in with assumptions or expectations, either positive or negative, in any negotiation. And remember, we really want to take time to nurture the other side. We want to identify what they're thinking and feeling, label them and mirror them back to them, repeat them back to them that, yes, we are listening to you and we understand the problems that you're facing. And by doing that, we're able to help you really solve the problems that you're facing. Then we want to take great notes. By taking great notes, that's going to lead to an excellent log, and that's going to help you understand what's going on in the negotiation. Because sometimes negotiations, you might not have a meeting for a month or two. And I have a hard time remembering things that I did yesterday sometimes when I get so busy. So by taking notes, it's going to help us remember what was said and done. And then, you can always do research. If you're negotiating with a publicly traded company, you can pull their filings with the IRS. And if it's a not-for-profit organization, you can pull their stuff from GuideStar and see their financials. That's going to tell you a lot of information about them. So do research before you get started. And then always have a growth mindset when you walk into that negotiation. Now, remember, questions are the key to successful negotiations. Prepare questions that are going to build the vision of their pain. That's going to help you discover the decision-making process, and that's going to throw them off their fighting plan. Because remember, most people come to a negotiation ready for an argument, and fight and debate. Whereas when we ask questions, it gets them off that point, my point, your point, counterpoint sort of thing. It gets them into a whole different frame of mind, and it throws them off that fighting plan. Keep track of your negotiation budget, right? Before you enter any negotiation, understand what you've invested in terms of time, money, energy, and emotion, and understand what's your threshold, what's the point of no return, where's your Rubicon that you do not want to cross before you are invest in the negotiation. And always conserve your budget, and use the knowledge of their budget to structure your negotiation. And if you need to, it's okay to drive it up sometimes. Always prepare an agenda before a negotiation. And prepare and negotiate the agenda with the other side. And you're gonna talk about what problems are we going to talk about in this meeting, and you're going to address your baggage. You're going to think about their baggage. You're going to write down and identify what you want out of this negotiation, and then you're going to write down what they want, and then have a plan of action. Always identify the decision-making process. Determine the process of your respected opponents, and understand what that process looks like, who's involved, and understand what are the roles and responsibilities of everyone involved, what's the sequence of the decisions, and always negotiate those decision processes. So if you say, you discover it takes 5 days to make a decision, then you say, that's great. Can I call you on day 6? Would that be all right if I call you on day 6 to see what decision's been made? You're going to negotiate those sort of things in the negotiation. So when you call on day 6, you're not rushing to close. You've already agreed that I'm going to follow up and see where we're at. And then know your own decision-making process. Who's involved in your organization? Who have you left out? Who could, sabotage this whole deal? And then use the system we talked about. Use your checklist to prepare for each and every negotiation event, no matter how big or how small. run through those steps, and it's going to help you craft your questions and your messages appropriately. And then if you're working as a team, make certain everybody completes the checklist, and then compare notes. And you're going to be surprised at the insight you'll gain between everyone's insight and what they saw and what maybe you missed. So always, if you're working as a team, use the system. And finally, if you need help, get help today. I'm here to help you. And I have free resources for you. If you go to my website, www.davidnorrismdmba.com/SomiDocs. You can get free resources. I'll get you a free ebook, and you'll get a copy of my checklist. I hope that what we talked about in this workshop has been very helpful for you. Take time, review some areas. I hope you took great notes. And if you ever have any questions on how to implement it, I'm here to help you. I look forward to helping you become a better negotiator. We'll see you later.